Thank you for joining me for Sketchbook Sunday, episode number 58, I think. I don't know, it's been a while, but I wanted to share two very different sketchbook spreads today. One was done with gouache and the other in graphite, ink, and oil paint. This sketchbook has actually been abandoned for like a year and a half, and it's because I set a bunch of rules for it. For some reason, I decided that this would be a gouache only sketchbook. I wanted every single painting to have these sharp, clean edges. I wanted it to look like a pristine little gallery. And whenever I set rules with art, I tend to get bored. So inevitably, I abandoned it for over a year. And one day I just sat down and did a more expressive garden spread with oils. And then I did this hand study again in oil. The page was toned with ink. And it just felt so good to break free from those rules that I set for myself. So for this spread, I initially made a graphite pencil sketch of everything I wanted to paint. And I also decided to write out some thoughts floating in my head. I then went in with some water and acrylic ink. It's important to note that this is a Honamule watercolor sketchbook, hence I'm able to use so much water in it. I also used yellow ochre, burnt umber, and sap green for those inks. I sprinkled on a little bit of salt. The salt absorbs the ink and it can create some interesting texture. You can also try this with watercolors, it'll do the same thing. But I just wanted to tone the page and give it a kind of weathered look. Once the paper dried completely, I went over them with acrylic matte medium. I did about 3 layers of this just to be safe, but honestly 1 or 2 would probably be fine. I'm just paranoid. It dries transparently and also provides a barrier between the oils and the paper. As you may or may not know, oil paint can destroy paper and it will bleed through the back. You'll have these gross oil stains. So this gives the oils something to bind to instead of the paper, while also preserving the writing, the inks, and the oil will not seep through to the back of the page. Once the matte medium was completely dry, I went in with oils. I used walnut alkyd medium to improve the flow of the paint and also decrease the drying time. Alkyd resin mediums are really great for that, so I don't have to wait as long and I can close the sketchbook in like a day or 2. It's still quite a downside to using oils in your sketchbook, although it's completely possible and it's so much fun. They will still take a while to dry, but you can speed it up with alkyd resin mediums. I'm painting this forest scene from one of the hiking trails I did out here in Washington, and on the other page I wanted to paint a couple flowers that I saw along the trail. I used to write in my sketchbook sometimes back in the day, if you watched this series before, but I was really just listing out the colors I was using on my palette. And I got the inspiration to try using my sketchbooks as a journal alongside the art and toning it with acrylic ink from a wonderful artist you probably heard of already, Dina Brodsky. She creates amazing work. I've followed her for like over a decade now, and she's just an amazing artist, so kind, so prolific in her process, and she has the most beautiful sketchbooks. So please go check her out if you haven't already. So I wanted to try journaling alongside my art. It seemed like so much fun. I honestly loved it so much. It's kind of therapeutic for me, so I definitely see myself doing this a lot more. Then I actually went back a few pages because there were these 3 little paintings I started the undersketch for right before I abandoned the sketchbook. Like I said, I got bored, but now after coming back to this sketchbook and doing a few spreads where I felt free and broke some rules, I regained the motivation to finish these 3 little sharp-edged gouache paintings within those rules. I have some Scotch removable tape on the paper to keep those edges clean and sharp, and yeah, I started this spread in the wintertime of 2024. I was very inspired by the snow and cold weather, but I just couldn't be bothered to finish them. So 2 winters have gone by now, and I'm painting these in the summer of 2025 now. Very different vibe from when I started. I feel like I'm entering a new stage in my creative life as a whole. I've been an artist on social media for 15 years now, which is actually kind of insane. And I'm trying to figure out a healthy balance between who I am as an artist and who I am as an online content creator. And those 2 things are a bit different. But the lines have been blurred for me. I think social media has kind of infiltrated my art process, and not in a good way. For example, for the longest time, I felt like I had to record every single painting and sketch I ever do, or else it's a waste of time, right? Because the algorithm demands content. And if I'm making any art at all, it better be good, it better be recorded, and making art without being aware of and also operating a camera at the same time was basically unheard of for me. I always have to have some sort of content ready to feed this hungry beast of an algorithm that is impossible to keep sated. Viewer activity has also tremendously evolved over the years. Nowadays, it's all about rapid, fast-paced content consumption, but the art process takes so much time, and it feels a bit disheartening to spend weeks or months on a work of art, pouring my heart into it, and it's just someone's cheap dopamine hit for a few seconds before they move on to the next 300 videos and forget all about it. I never stopped painting. I never lost my joy and passion for painting. I felt like I had the video version of artist block. My cup was empty, and you can't really pour from an empty cup. It also feels really weird saying that because I truly feel tremendous gratitude for what social media has made possible for me, and that is still the biggest takeaway here. I don't want to lose sight of that ever. I had to give myself permission for the first time in over a decade to not record every single thing I draw or paint. That was a huge game changer for me. It was so rare for me to just make art that wasn't being recorded with a camera, that wasn't for the purpose of video production too. But I had to convince myself that it's okay to just make art in private for myself. And a sketchbook is an amazing way to do that. I actually feel very reliant on my sketchbook these days because it's art for me. It doesn't require a lot of time. I can bring it anywhere. I'm not going to sell this art. I don't have to make content out of it unless I want to, and sometimes I choose to. It's kind of like a tether or a way to cope with the world around me, with life, and it feels like my creative battery is being charged. And nowadays I don't go anywhere without a sketchbook, so I can answer that little whisper of inspiration if the opportunity is there. And as a result, it's actually reignited my passion for making and posting art videos. It's funny how that works. And yeah, I think I just might start posting some Sketchbook Sunday videos again. Please don't expect this to happen every single week like it used to back in the day, because I just can't with the way my life looks right now, but once or twice a month is much more realistic these days, and I'd love to make that a goal. I am curious though, which style did you like more? The clean, sharp edges or the more free-flowing, faded look? There's no wrong answer. I like them both, so I'm just curious about what you guys think. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate every single one of you that are still here after so many years. That really just means so much to me. I appreciate all of you who are brand new here as well. Welcome. I hope you will also continue to stick around for a while. I'm wishing you all a beautiful and inspiring day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone.